Okay, here is my top 10 ranking of WWE 2K games. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the 2K games, so my list may vary wildly from yours, but since there are 10 games in the series now, if you include 2K14, which I am, I figured now is a good time to do it, so without further ado, let's go. In at number 10 is obviously 2K20. I won't spend too much time talking about it, but yeah, this game was a steaming pile of crap when it released. I mean, it was so bad, 2K took an entire year off to go back to the drawing board, which is actually a commendable move that I wish other game developers would do. Madden. It was buggy as hell when you could even get it to run properly without crashing, and it didn't have the features deep enough to carry its overall lack of polish. 2K20 was just a mess from head to toe. I don't think I need to say more about it. Let's move on. In at number 9 is 2K15. Being the first next-gen title in the 2K series, it was visually a huge step up from 2K14. Mechanically, however, it was a mixed bag. It ditched the fast-paced arcade style of its predecessors for a more sim-based style, complete with chain wrestling and a new stamina system. The biggest indictment on this game for me, though, was its abysmal creation suite. Story designer, creative finisher, and custom soundtracks were all removed. Even create an arena, create a freaking diva for crying out loud, create a championship, paint tools. Those were all missing from the next-gen release, and for this to be its first next-gen iteration, 2K, WWE really missed the mark on this. This game is far from 2K's best effort, and I think what makes it even worse is it was coming off of 2K14, which, maybe developed by different people, was just such a great game and set such a high bar that 2K15 fell flat on its face trying to live up to. 2K15, I just gotta shake my head at this one. And I remember seeing the screenshots for it, and like I said, visually, it was so impressive. I thought, okay, the future is here. 2K is going to take this franchise to the next level. Ultimately, that did not happen, and even though there were some minor high spots, I guess you could say the showcase mode was pretty good if you're into that kind of thing, it was overall just a no for me, dog. 2K15, I gotta put it at number 9, sorry. At number 8 is 2K17. Now, I'm generally not a fan of the showcase mode formula. I've gone on record many times saying that. But if you're going to remove content at launch, such as an entire single-player game mode, you have to nail the other game modes. 2K17 unfortunately misfires in this department. They added some cool ideas like the new promo engine along with added universe mode customization, but the sum of these parts is still a lifeless game with a little career mode replayability. Universe mode has always felt like it could be better, right? And 2K17 at least made an effort, though the gameplay is not my cup of tea, and the added backstage areas are shallow due to overall stiffness of the game's flow. That being said, I do not hate 2K17, I think it's a decent enough game. I'll just say that there is a huge margin between number 8 and number 9 in this list, okay? That being said, let's move on. Number 7 is 2K16. Now, before you come at me with the pitchforks for placing it above 2K17, just hear me out. The two games play very similarly, and while 2K17 has a more fleshed out career mode, 2K16 has a whole additional mode in Steve Austin's showcase. Universe mode on 16 is simpler and more plug and play, which is its own share of pros and cons alone, but the reason I have it above 17 essentially boils down to I believe 2K16 improved way more on 2K15 than 2K17 did on 2K16, even if 2K17 is technically the better game. Is that fair? I remember feeling relieved when 2K16 came out. I took a deep breath and I was like, it's gonna be okay. 2K15 may have been a rocky start for 2K, but it's gonna be uphill from now. They got a good foundation to build on, and it's gonna be smooth sailing from here on out. I wasn't completely right with thinking that, but at least I got hope from 2K16, and I will always be nostalgic about it for that reason alone. Coming in at number 6 is 2K18. This game improved quite a bit from a gameplay perspective over 2K17. Multi-man matches in particular were focused on heavily. You could finally have 8 players in the ring simultaneously for the first time since SmackDown Just Bring It. And Royal Rumble mechanics got a complete rework. You could finally carry opponents out of a grapple again to give the player more control. I think that feature was missing since SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. The Creation Suite was the best to date with new shades and textures. I remember things could look glossy if you wanted to. You can make things look plasticky or matte-like. I mean, you could really go buck wild with how material looked and shined off your superstar, which sounds kind of silly, but it makes all the difference. In community creations, contributors would tell you straight up, like, that is make or break when you're building characters in the Call Suite. Career mode let you roam backstage again, and Universe mode got a handful of new stories and cutscenes. I like this game, but it was hindered by performance issues at launch, especially on the Nintendo Switch, but also on Steam. Ultimately, I think it deserves to be ranked around the middle of the pack just like this. What do you guys think about 2K18? Kind of a mixed bag, right? Alright, boys and girls, we are halfway there. At this point, I'd like to add on record that these are all what I would call objectively good 2K games. Number 5 is 2K22. Finally, back from the blunder that was 2K20, you can immediately feel the difference in the way 2K22 controls. Gameplay is a lot more fluid and faster paced, which is right up my alley. My Rise brought more soul into the lifeless career modes of the past, featuring more personalized stories for both male and female superstars. The personal storylines kind of remind me of games like WrestleMania 21 on the Xbox, which was not that great of a game, but that's not my point. Or Day of Reckoning on GameCube, which was a lot better. You know, that's not a bad thing. I don't like My Faction at all, and its recent inclusion in these games, but it is an added mode, and more content isn't unwelcomed so long as other modes don't suffer in favor of it. My GM mode was a long-awaited return mode. I played the heck out of it in the SmackDown vs. Raw games, and I was so happy to see it return. Community creations became cross-platform and were better than ever, but ultimately, it's the bounce-back effort from 2K here that really pushed it into the top half of this list. I gotta tip my hat to 2K for this one. We are almost home, folks. Thanks for sticking it out with me so far. Number 4 is 2K23. Now, everything I liked about 2K22, 2K23 improved on. I don't have too much to add on this one that I didn't already say about 22, but I will say the My Rise stories were better, especially the women's one. War Games was as exciting of a new match type added to the series as Elimination Chamber was when it debuted in Here Comes the Pain. I like 2K23 a lot. I also think it's worth mentioning that 2K23 being released in a playable state and not a complete buggy mess was a show of good faith by 2K that yes, they are capable of building on good games and making good sequels. 2K20 was a one-time blunder, it was a mistake, it's never going to happen again, and I think that we finally found a good rhythm with 2K where each game is building off of the last. So 2K23 may ultimately get lost in time down the road here, but I think it was an important entry in the series and deserves to be on this list for that reason alone. Number 3, our most recent entry in the series, yes, WWE 2K24. This game again did what every great sequel is supposed to do: improve on its predecessor. A bunch of new match types were added: ambulance, guest referee, casket, and gauntlet. The showcase mode was one of the better ones, featuring matches from 40 years of WrestleMania history. Gameplay is solid, and I've grown to appreciate this new iteration of 2K game style. And I think with added features like the ability to throw weapons once again, just kind of goes to show you that yes, we do like sim-style wrestling in our games, but there's a fine line between arcade and sim, between fun and monotonous, and I think they're finally getting that mixture correct. The 2K series is on the right track, and 2K24 was another great entry in the series. Okay, now the number 2 spot, runner-up here, it belongs to 2K19 for many reasons. The tower modes were a blast. They provided constant in-game content year-round. I had a lot of fun with them. My career, while more linear, was the best in the 2K series up to that point, offering a personal journey of your superstar that felt way more connected than ever before. Next gen for the 2K series had its ups and downs, sure, but by the time 2K19 came around, it was refined as best it could be. I really believe that. The creation suite, match pacing, and roster were all stellar. But if for no other reason, 2K19 deserves to be in this spot because it kept us WWE game fans fed for a whole 3 years while we waited for 2K22. This game is Teflon for that alone. I also think it's worth noting that there's a handful of fans that actually prefer 2K19's gameplay over 2K24's even. And for that reason, the mod support, the community creations for 2K19 have been flowing and flowing for so long. I think there were even custom servers for it to keep fans fed while we waited for 2K22. I just can't say enough good things about this game, and it should be number one, right? Because it was worked on by 2K, it was the culmination of their work, but I do have it runner-up. But it is now time to hail to the king, folks. You had to know this was coming. At number one, we have the infamous WWE 2K14. Gameplay here was close to perfection. Fast, fluid, and satisfying. Player movement was silky smooth. I always felt like I could do anything at any time within the confines of a match, unhindered by stiff animations of later entries in the series. OMG moments added a fun in-match objective to pull off depending on the match type. These were a lot of fun. The launch and catch finishers were also a blast. There was nothing like throwing someone into the ropes and catching them with the sweet chin music after you throw them up in the air. That was awesome. Universe mode allowed for much more show customization and roster control than ever before. The rivalry manager was good too. I really like this universe mode. This was probably the best 2K showcase mode of all time, even better than 2K24's similar mode. And although there were 10 years less of WrestleMania matches to pick from, somehow 2K14's showcase mode featured even more matches than 2K24's. Yeah, go figure. The streak mode was also fun. It reminded me of the Slobber Knocker mode from Just Bring It, even complete with an online leaderboard and everything. This game set a high bar for 2K that they haven't reached again in my opinion. But that has been my top 10 rankings for the 2K series. I'm interested to hear your guys' rankings. Where did I mess up? What should have been ranked higher? What should have been ranked lower? Do you think 2K14 is overrated? Do you think 2K17 is underrated? Let me know in the comments. Do the YouTube stuff for me as always. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.